So back in 2020, I, Steven Shinder, started a podcast called Delayed Replay, recapping and reviewing the latest films. However, it got broadcast into an alternate universe, where those films got delayed and came out differently from how I was describing them. Because of how me and my guests had been describing the films, people in that other universe were saying that this was all an improvised comedy podcast, which, listening back, I can totally get why they believed that. A lot of weird stuff happened in that first year, and I even met my other self from that other universe, who pops in from time to time, for better or worse. And now, in the year 2023, this podcast continues, still recapping and reviewing movies and sometimes some other things that got delayed or cancelled in that other universe. A new episode Saturdays every other week, unless I decide otherwise for some special reason or whatever. You are listening to Delayed Replay, Season 4.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to another episode of Delayed Replay, that podcast where we recap and review movies that got delayed in that other universe but came out on time in our universe. I'm your host, as always, Steven Shinder. And on this episode, we're doing one that came out kind of a while ago for us. It came out like August 13th, 2021. So like on Friday the 13th, and about a decade after its predecessor. The sixth Final Destination movie, titled Final Destination 1998. Well, as you might be able to guess from that, returning to this podcast for this episode, it is Greg. What'd you eat that prompted that?
I had some chicken nuggets.
Oh, nice. From where?
Just some store-bought nuggets.
Okay.
I went in the oven.
So, just to start off, well, before I forget, I actually do have like a bit of feedback from a listener / friend of the show.
You have one of those?
Wow.
Yes, you decide which one it is.
Right. So I'm just opening that up, and it's actually about Shazam: Fury of the Gods. So yeah, I haven't decided if I'll put this at the beginning of the episode or put it at the end, but I'll put timestamps like either way. So just look at the show notes and see.
Well, I have seen it now, so it's okay.
Where everything is. Yeah, you saw the version in that other universe, as did I, because it came out recently. This comes from Enrico D Versace. He says, "Hello, Steven. I just got done listening to your Shazam: Fury of the Gods episode, since I just saw the sequel a week or two ago." And this message came in like a few weeks ago, but you know, I meant to read this for the previous episode, but then I was like in a rush, and so yeah, sorry for the delayed reply. But getting back to the message,
it's a delay.
yeah, delayed reply. But getting back to the message, he says, "I actually enjoyed the film from this universe, oddly enough, but I enjoyed some of your additions from that other universe. LOL." So he liked the version from our universe that came out last year. He said, like that whole mention of Billy finding out that his powers were stolen by the Greek gods and him being mad at the wizard. That's just something they gloss over in the movie, like I guess his version of the movie over in that other universe. And I really think it would have been a great scene. We have some serious scenes in this film already with the villains and whatever, but this would maybe change some people's opinion about the film. I also like how your version had the flashback to Henry Cavill eating with the Shazam family. That even made me think of a funny scene that could have happened in the flashback, where Cavill like took a bite of a burger and then spit it out in a napkin because it either was mystery meat or because Cavill's maybe a vegetarian since Kent grew up on a farm. And then he says something like, "The things I do for fans." something stupid to add to this lighthearted movie. Then when you guys said Black Adam was watching Shazam on the news, I got this idea of maybe him then calling up Superman saying he got a tip on Shazam, like something he and the family did, and then it just quickly fades to black. Then I thought about WB just copying Spider-Man No Way Home for Black Adam versus Superman and Shazam, where Billy's secret identity is exposed, and the movie opens up with Superman just fighting Shazam, only to find out from investigative journalism with Lois that Adam framed him. Like, I don't know if this is a good idea, but it sounds interesting to me. Let me know what you think. Without further delay, have a good day. I think that is an interesting idea, but the comparisons to No Way Home would have been unavoidable for sure. But yeah, thanks for writing in, Enrico. What do you think of all that, Greg? Like The Message or Shazam: Fury of the Gods?
Yeah, when you mentioned that Henry Cavill was having dinner with like Shazam's family, all I could think of was Fast and Furious when they were just having dinner together after every single damn movie.
Yeah, that does happen. Version from that other universe of Shazam: Fury of the Gods, and they do mention like Fast and Furious and family, and
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, it's all about family all the time.
Yeah, I think you disliked that version more than I did. I thought it was middle of the road, but I think we both agreed that it felt like a really long Skittles commercial, right?
It was, oh my god, Taste the Rainbow.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that hurt listening to that.
Yeah, and like that Mr. Mind post-credit scene felt like something that would be a scene here in the delayed replay universe, so it's kind of bizarre.
I forgot everyone's name from the first movie, to be honest. Like when the film started, I was like, "Oh, they're in a foster home." I forgot about that.
You forgot the thing that was a huge part of their background.
I mean, how old is Shazam? I mean, Shazam's like
what, the character, like
so,
like the property or the character?
29. Nah, that was too long ago, man.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah, that's
happened
fair.
since then?
I feel like the gap between films in that other universe didn't help the film, because I mean the first one was definitely better over in that universe, but I think the longer wait definitely contributed to people not caring as much, and also just the changes to DC with James Gunn and whatnot over there. So
I mean, just wait
yeah.
for Aquaman 2 did even worse.
Right.
Because the first one came out even earlier, didn't it?
Yeah, it'll be like a 5-year gap between Aquaman movies. Jeez. Yeah. But yeah, again, we appreciate like any feedback, any messages, and people can do that through the social media or through email, delayedreplaypodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, let us know your thoughts on your favorite destinations or something. I don't know. But yeah, getting back to the topic at hand, what's your history with the Final Destination movies? Like, how'd you get into them?
Well, I grew up on them pretty much, like the same way that I found Saw. I was like, oh, there's these very gory films that you got to watch as a child. And you either choose Saw or Final Destination. I feel like for the gory ones because they came out. Well, Final Destination came out later, but I mean it's still around the same era of film.
No, yeah, the first Final Destination came out 2000, and the first Saw came out 2004. So
Oh, it's like another way around.
yeah. But what's weird about the first Final Destination movie is it feels like it's very much part of that era of Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer,
Yeah.
The Faculty, like those all look and feel like they're part of that era, whereas when you get to Saw 1, it feels like a totally different era somehow.
It's all green. So it's like a Shrek's basement. That's what the first film is.
Right. I think part of it is also that Saw, unlike those other films, didn't rely on a young cast, so maybe that's part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, what were your overall thoughts and impressions on the first film and the sequels for Final Destination?
They had like really creative deaths out of like most horror franchises. Like, yeah, between Saw and Final Destination, they're really pushing, like, oh, how can you kill someone in a spectacular fashion? Like, even like I know like Halloween and Friday the 13th, they didn't really have like really interesting deaths. It was just like, oh look, he just got stabbed, or oh look, he's on a pole. So like nothing really. You say like a somebody's getting sucked through a swimming pool.
Yeah, like slasher movies, well, as much as some of them can be enjoyable to horror fans, they do get formulaic after a certain point. It's like, how can you really reinvent any of this? Whereas you make a good point that Final Destination and Saw, especially the Saw sequels, try to get creative with the deaths and make it more of a spectacle, like for better or worse. I feel like with the Final Destination movies, the deaths sometimes come across being really funny to me, even when I'm not sure if that's intended.
What like where the stone is stick to the face?
Right. Or in the first one when Stifler gets beheaded by the railroad tracks or something.
Oh yeah.
Like it just felt very cartoony, whereas
It's not very serious. Yeah.
I feel like the fifth one did get more serious. It kind of had a change in tone, and like I think the fifth one is definitely my favorite follow-up to the original. Like I put the original and number 5 at like 7 out of 10, and I think I put 2 and 3 at 6 and 4 out of 5 out of 10. Like the fourth one, the Final Destination, I thought was pretty bad. It was like relying on like the 3D and stuff, right? Yeah, I remember it ended at a movie theater, and it was like, oh, they're making the gimmick part of the thing. That's kind of stupid, but
Oh, when it all exploded.
yeah. I think my first experience with any Final Destination was I was probably like 10 or younger, like maybe even 8 or 9, and like my cousins were watching the second movie, and I just vaguely remembered seeing like the barbecue scene at the very end, and that was like my first.
Oh yeah, with the headlines on the barbecue.
Yeah, that was like my first glimpse into the franchise, and I didn't watch them all until like a year and a half ago or whenever it was, because they were on HBO Max. The fifth one, I really wish I had not looked up anything about it before watching, because
honestly, yeah.
Yeah, because I accidentally spoiled. Yeah, I accidentally, like, if you haven't watched the fifth one and you're listening to this, pause it, watch all the movies and the fifth one, and then, well, yeah. But yeah, I was not expecting it to. Well, so because I spoiled it for myself, I knew going in that it was a prequel to the first one. And so I was like, oh, damn, I wish I hadn't read that. And then when it gets to the end, it's like amazing how they incorporate archive footage from the first movie and make it so that the ending scene is like the beginning of the first movie's first disaster. And it's all super sad because you have the Kansas song Dust in the Wind. It's like, wow, what a way to go.
I mean, it's not like they tried to make it look like the 90s either. Why you don't really think about it?
It looked ambiguous. I don't remember them using any cell phones, at least not any that looked modern. Like, I feel like it does the thing that one of the other Saw sequels tried, like, try to make it, like, not include any clues of when it's set so that it's, like, a surprise when it happens, but...
What, Jigsaw?
Yeah, Jigsaw.
Sorry for spoiling Jigsaw.
Yeah, spoiler for Jigsaw coming up. Yeah, I'll put timestamps for anyone who doesn't want things spoiled.
Yeah, I had Jigsaw spoiled before I saw it.
Oh, damn, that sucks.
I had someone saying that like who the killer was. Like I was like, oh god damn it.
Damn. Yeah, Jigsaw, I've probably told you this before, but I saw it at the cinema when I was in Brighton over 5 years ago, and like 5.5 years ago now. And as I was watching it, and it looked like they undid something and were going supernatural or whatever, I was ready to walk out of the theater because it felt like the movie wasn't grounded anymore. But I stayed for the ending, and it just made everything like way better. It was one of the most unique movie going experiences I ever had.
It kept you thinking the entire time.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, what is actually happening? But then you get the Book of Saw, and you're like, Jesus, what the hell happened?
Spiral. Yeah, and then the one we talked about after that, Saw X marks the spot. But yeah, so here we get to Final Destination 1998. This time they're not hiding when the film is set. So what do you think of that particular strategy?
Well, at least no one can spoil something about the movie. Like if it, like obviously at the end of this movie, it ties into Final Destination 5. So you know what you're gonna get into.
Yeah, and this one was written by Patrick Melton and Marcus Dunstan, who've actually worked on some of the Saw sequels. So yeah, our discussion on the Saw movies is pretty relevant to this. But what's unique about this one is, so this is about like first responders and also people who survived thanks to first responders. So for anyone unfamiliar, like first responders are like EMTs, firemen, police, paramedics, that type of thing. They really set the tone by opening up with this accident that's happened. Like there's a car collision at a crosswalk, and so these first responders are arriving on the scene and trying to save the people, even though there's like a premonition that like these people might die as a result of this. So when they survive, it's like, oh, what's gonna happen now? So what do you think of that sort of opening?
I feel they definitely could have done something else because we've had the car pile up before in Final Destination. So it feels like they're trying to do it again. It's like why? But
Yeah,
it
it
was
does.
more the lead up to it that was more interesting than the previous films, as you like spent more time with the first responders instead of the people who were going to die.
Right, yeah, because we do see the first responders kind of, they're like having lunch with each other and hanging out, and then they get the call about like the emergency. So I guess it's trying to get us to care about them before we see all this stuff going on. But yeah, the car related stuff, it does feel like they're basically trying to remind us that, hey, this is the Final Destination franchise, just so you know what movie series this is. Like it's still the same series type thing.
Yeah,
One of these paramedics is played by Bruce Campbell, from the Evil Dead movies himself. And he talks about how he's like been working there for many years and he's close to retirement. And so when he said that, I'm like, oh, he's probably gonna die at some point, isn't he? Like once they mentioned they're close to retirement, like something's gonna happen.
yeah, it's an absolute Chekhov's gun, that one.
Yeah. One of these people that they save from this car accident is played by Taika Waititi. He's really getting around, like having these movie roles, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he was, let's say, interesting in, the hell was that movie? Son of Ryan Reynolds, really stupid one.
Oh, Free Guy.
Yeah, he was in that. Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember. And of course, he's Korg in the Thor movies and directed a couple of those.
He plays the guy, the kid's dad in.
I'm not sure, but I just remembered he was in the Suicide Squad as well, I think.
Yeah, he
Right?
was the rat catcher's
Rat-
dad.
Yeah, Ratcatcher's dad.
That's literally his title, wasn't it? Well, no, because the daughter was like Ratcatcher 2 or something.
Yeah.
But he was in Boy as dad.
Oh, that one.
Like,
Yeah, that's
loved that
right.
movie.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
Yeah, that was an interesting one.
But it is kind of weird that he isn't as comedic in this movie.
Yeah, he's rather serious, and like it's kind of hard for me to take him seriously because like it's it's his face, I recognize it, and yeah, but he very much is trying to be serious here, and it's like, oh no, I'm gonna die, and then when he doesn't die, he's sort of like reflecting and being like, how should I live my life to the fullest now that I've been given a second chance, type thing.
It's like the complete opposite of every Final Destination movie.
Right.
Because
But
most of them are like, I can't do anything dangerous because I might die. And Taika Waititi is just like, oh yeah, let's do all these crazy things together because who knows when it could be our last day together.
he gets his friends and it's like, let's go parasailing and let's go bungee jumping, and we see like this montage of like all these different daring stunts, and
There's so many close calls as well during those.
yeah. Like during the bungee jumping one, he almost hits his head on like the bottom of a bridge, and during the parasailing, he almost flies too close to he almost gets too close to um a helicopter that's sort of flying low and whatnot. And they even put like a sort of upbeat rock song during this. I can't remember what it was, but it was
So War Pigs, whatever the song's called.
yeah, War Pigs, that's what it was. Yeah, by Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite a throwback. But yeah, this is like sort of playing with the audience's expectations, and he's like kind of getting popular because of like all these things he's doing, and we get back to like the first responders. Well, apparently in this town, all the first responders are friends with each other and they hang out at a bar together, which is kind of weird. But at least the characters we follow. But yeah, they're sort of like shaking their heads and be like, why is he doing all these like death-defying stunts after barely surviving? We sort of get to know these first responders a bit better. Like we have Florence Pugh, who plays like her occupation is as a police officer, and we also have Vin Diesel as a firefighter. So I don't know. What'd you think of Vin Diesel's acting here? Was it sort of the same as always, or what?
Yeah, it was very wooden.
Yeah, like Groot himself.
My God. He was channeling his inner John Cena when he was a fireman in that one movie, which you probably haven't seen.
Oh, because it's John Cena.
Well, he was in the movie as a fireman.
And
Have you not seen?
you can't see him.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can never see him. He was in Playing with Fire. Don't know if you've seen that movie.
No, I haven't. This is my first time hearing about it.
Oh, it's got like Keegan Key, John Leguizamo.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at the cast list now. Yeah, Keegan-Michael Key. Oh, Tyler Maine is in this as well.
It's interesting.
Good interesting or bad interesting?
It's a John Cena movie. I'll leave it at that.
Oh, okay, yeah. Makes sense.
So
Yeah.
it just felt like it was channeling John Cena.
Yeah. Throwback to when John Cena was in the Fred movies as Fred's dad.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say throwback to when he was in the Fast and Furious movies.
Oh, well, I mean, that would have been too obvious, but yeah, that happened too.
My God. How
But
does someone on YouTube do that? I have no idea.
and you also have like Jeff Goldblum as the bartender, and it's like, wow, how are they getting all of these actors in this movie? Marlon Brando also hangs out at this bar. But it's like, since Marlon Brando has obviously passed away like almost 20 years ago now, they like, I guess, got permission to CGI him into this movie. What'd you think of his cameo here?
It was horrific. Like he was just like drinking so much alcohol. You were like, oh my God, they really did bring him back. Then like he was just like reminiscing about his time on The Godfather. He's like, did you see me in The Godfather? I was so good in that movie.
Yeah, and he's talking about like his new movie that was about to come out at the time, Free Money. Like apparently he has a role in that. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think of this? Because they sort of did this in Rogue One, but what do you think of this whole idea of bringing actors back as in the form of CGI if it's like a really well-known actor?
It depends on like the scenario. Like I enjoyed the Rogue One bits because I mean you're not trying to cast too far back, if you know what I mean? Because it's like, well, you have a guy who's dead, but he's still relatively old, so you just make someone look old. But when you have someone like Luke Skywalker, you might as well just cast someone if you're going to keep using him.
Right. Yeah, with Luke Skywalker, I don't think that CGI is gonna age well at all. Like I looked
The
at
deep fake.
yeah, like I looked at a picture of it recently, and I'm like, that still looks off. So
Tarkin looks so good.
yeah, Tarkin looked great. But it's something I don't want them or the movie industry in general to rely on too much.
Just recast it.
Yeah, just have someone else play Marlon Brando. Well, like I told you about this recently off air, but with Young Rock, they did such a good job casting a younger version of
God.
The Rock that I kept forgetting. Like when he was filming the cameos for that 70s show and Star Trek Voyager, I kept forgetting that it was a different actor and not Dwayne Johnson himself.
But that kind of happens when you have the person who they're trying to act as choose who gets to play them.
Yeah, like they got someone who looks like him, but he probably gave that actor some pointers as well.
Like he's even in Black Adam as his child. Not as his child, as his brother, I think.
Okay.
What was it? Do you remember that scene in Black Adam?
It's been a while.
Yeah, he got him to cast himself as like his younger self or something. Again in another movie.
Right, yeah.
It's like he's just living in this shadow.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the risk that people run is like if you're well known for playing a younger version of a character, then will you always be playing a younger version of that actor in some other movies? It's kind of like when people would joke that James McAvoy should play a younger Captain Picard because he played a younger Professor X. Today's actually James McAvoy's birthday as we're recording, which is why it came so handy in my head. But yeah, or like when when Anthony Ingruber played a younger version of Harrison Ford in this movie called Age of Adeline, people kept saying he should play him in Solo, but they went with
Aiden was great though.
yeah,
I
like
don't know why everyone's so annoyed at him.
yeah, Alden Ehrenreich did a great job in my opinion.
And so did Donald Glover. Not Donald Glover.
Yeah, Donald Glover.
Yeah, it is, yeah. I'm trying to think of which Glover it is.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the one from Saw.
Danny Glover.
Oh, that's it, Danny.
Yeah.
Always get them mixed up.
Yeah, remember in the Saw movies in our universe where they made Donald Glover Danny Glover's son?
That was amazing.
Yeah, but yeah, my fan theory is that Lando Calrissian is a clone like George Lucas originally intended. And the proof is that he has a beard in Solo: A Star Wars Story, and in the other movies he doesn't have a beard. Definitive proof.
Yeah, that is unrefutable.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't want the movie industry to rely too much on bringing people back from the dead as CGI, or even using living people as CGI. Like, yeah, it could be a case by case basis, maybe for like a cameo, but like there's that idea of doing a whole movie starring a CGI James Dean, where it's like all about.
Really?
Yeah, like I remember hearing about this. I don't remember if it became a thing, but I'm just like looking it up, seeing.
I mean, they
if
basically
it's-
brought Elvis back to life to do Elvis. I mean, Austin Butler did so well in that movie.
Yeah, I guess he did fine. Like that movie like isn't really for me, but okay, yeah, so I just Googled it and there's something that says James Dean reborn in CGI for Vietnam War action drama. Yeah, this is a few years
You know
ago.
who should just play James Dean?
Well, Finding Jack. Who?
If you saw my, let me just shamelessly plug my Letterboxd.
Yeah, sure.
Follow me on Letterboxd, guys.
Yeah, or
I-
Letterboxd D, as the creator calls it, apparently.
Does he actually?
Yeah, I think so. My friend Dylan told me that and I just never checked it.
I hope not. But if you look at my review for Rebel Without a Cause, I said that I didn't realize Benicio del Toro was this old because James Dean looks just like him. So you should just have James Dean be played by Benicio del Toro, and it would be pretty good though.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
Do
remember
you see
seeing that.
resemblance or not?
I need to look up like Benicio del Toro young.
Kind of like the same like face.
Yeah, they have a similar facial structure, I think. Yeah, he could kind of do it. I think the skin tones might be kind of different. I don't know. I'm not super
Have-
used to
have
seeing
Burt
James
Reynolds.
Dean.
Have Burt Reynolds being played by Pedro Pascal. I can't be the only one that sees that as well.
I mean, everyone loves Pedro Pascal, so why not, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, what isn't he in? But he's definitely in. Because he may be in The Mandalorian, but do you ever see his face? No. He gets paid to do voiceover.
Yeah, how dare he?
He's like been on set, nobody knows where he is. Is he safe? Is he
Yeah,
okay?
he's just doing The Last of Us. Speaking of which, we have Bella Ramsey from The Last of Us in this Final Destination movie as like one of the survivors who gets saved from a fire. So like she gets saved, but she also gets like a premonition of like, oh, she was supposed to die in that fire, but then got saved, and so now she's like getting very paranoid. So it's kind of with her, it's more like what we expect from the Final Destination formula, I guess you could say.
Yeah, but we never see it from her perspective. So like we never see her crash or whatever, like we do in the other films.
Yeah, we sort of get like secondhand first responders hear secondhand from like the news, like what happened to her, which is really annoying. It reminded me of the beginning of Final Destination 2, where they mention like the original character protagonist, Devon Sawa's character dying off screen, and I really hate when horror sequels do that, like kill the main character off screen in the sequel or like at the beginning. So it kind of reminded me of that, except we weren't as invested with her here because we didn't spend as much time with her, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then there's this bit where the first responders are like feeling really tired from all the work that they have to do. And so a few of them are like, you know what, why don't we take the day off tomorrow? And so they do that, and then during their day off, like some first responders die during like these accidents. Like there's like a bus crash, and there's also like this building that collapses from a fire. I think it was a Wendy's, actually. Like there was a fire that like engulfed. Yeah, that was a weird way to like advertise Wendy's. And also,
I mean, it's less shameless than the Skittles advert.
Yeah. And also there's like some convict that like breaks out and attacks some police officers. So like all this stuff, like during their day off, like some other first responders die, and they're like, oh dang, we could have died if we didn't skip work that day. So now as a result, they're getting paranoid and wondering like if they're gonna die next, which I don't know. What did you think of this little twist here?
So many people are just gonna die soon. That's what, like, you have the first responders and the people from the car crash. It's like, how many deaths are they going to fit into this movie? It's like they've been waiting so long since Final Destination 5. They were like, oh my god, people are going to be so happy with how many deaths they're going to see on screen. It's like Terrifier 2 all over again.
Yeah. There's kind of this similar problem with Saw X when we talked about, where there are like so many characters and so many different deaths, and it's like maybe this isn't quite on that scale, but yeah, it kind of felt like there was a lot to keep track of in this one.
Yeah, because you have basically two plots going at once. Obviously, you have like the families of the car crash trying to go through their lives, trying not to, or it's like they know what's happening because they just go along with their day. But obviously, we, the viewer, know something's up, but they don't. So like, oh, what's going to happen here? Oh, we're going to get run over again. I don't know what's going to happen. And obviously get the first responders who, I don't know how they would think something might be happening to them. Because it's not like they had some inkling, like, oh no, death is coming for us, like as in the first movie. It's like not like there's like some demon haunting them. So it's not Insidious.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they're trying to make it more grounded in this one by, well, like it feels like they're more guilty than thinking that there's an actual death entity. Like even though we, the viewers, know that that's what's happening because it's a Final Destination movie, these first responders probably feel guilty that they weren't there that day, that they skipped work and pretended to be sick or whatever, and lots of people in their field of work died when they survived because like they skipped work. It kind of feels like they're trying to make this a message of like, if you have an important job like this, like don't mess around, like you have a duty to do type of thing.
That feels very topical at the moment, especially in England. Do you know what's happening?
No, I don't actually.
Basically, NHS nurses and stuff are striking all the time, and ambulance drivers are all striking. So basically, they have to bring in like the army to do stuff because there's no one driving ambulances. There's no one in like ER. It's it's like what the hell's going on? It's like they're trying to get more pay, but then obviously it's like yes, you could strike, but you know people's lives are at risk.
Oh dang.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I guess this movie was a premonition of that. But
what 20 years ago.
but but yeah, like I do hope all of that stuff gets sorted out, like because if there aren't enough people doing that stuff, it's I mean that would be like a less safe world, you know. So
Yeah, people are waiting for like I heard like waiting like 2 days for like an ambulance or something.
oh dang.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's insane.
Dang, that's nuts. Cause like I'm used to the idea of an ambulance being able to arrive like right away. So yeah, people need to get together. So these first responders in the movie are like really on edge, and they're like hanging out like near this fair, and there's like this Ferris wheel, but because it is slightly breezy, and I guess like the bolts aren't like as firm in the wheel, like the Ferris wheel just like comes rolling out and it's like coming to get them.
Yeah, there's bolts like falling off and bonking on people's heads. It's kind of hilarious. But then they get like the as the things are falling on their heads. Everyone's trying to run around trying to escape from it.
Yeah. There's like someone who is like trying to win like a giant stuffed teddy bear and finally gets the bullseye or whatever and is like super happy, but then the wheel crushes him.
Like he wasn't even someone from the car crash. He was just like more people are dying. It's like they're really taking some casualties in this movie.
Yeah. Man, what's with horror sequels these days and Ferris wheels, I swear. Remember in like Saw X, the people climbing to the different things on the Ferris wheel to try to kill each other? That was weird.
Yeah, that was. It wasn't some of the best plot in the movie.
Also at some point in the movie, Taika Waititi's character is like jet skiing, and then a shark comes up and just eats him. So there's that.
Yeah, we're waiting for the Sharknado. Ooh.
Yeah, you really hate those movies, right?
I mean, I've only seen 2 or 3 of them, so I've still to watch the rest.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable that I'll eventually watch them.
I mean, I watched The Birds, and that was, oh my god, if I like Birdemic more than The Birds, but Alfred Hitchcock no less, oh my god, some of the scenes in that movie honestly made me think of the Birdemic scenes. Like some of them were such bad CGI.
Yeah, in The Birds, like it's been so long since I've seen The Birds, but when I think about the movie, what I think about is the effects of how the birds look when they're attacking the car or whatever, and it looks so bad.
Yeah, Birdemic did it better.
Yeah, I've never seen Birdemic, so I'll have to take your word
haven't.
for it for now, I
I haven't
guess.
seen Birdemic.
But but yeah, my friend Greg, the other Greg, he says that he's enjoyed watching the Sharknado movies while like ordering a pizza to watch them like when they first aired, I guess. So I don't know.
God, that's years ago.
Yeah, it would have been a while ago, I guess.
2013. Okay, not too long ago, but my god, that feels like ages ago now.
Yeah, like damn, 2013 was 10 years ago. That's scary.
Wait, there's a spin-off movie? Sharknado: Heart of Sharkness?
Oh my gosh. Actually, you know what? Sharknado's 10th anniversary is on July 11th. So maybe that's when I'll finally watch damn Sharknado movies.
I mean, I am down to watch them. We can watch them together. Can be
Okay.
bros and watch Sharknado.
Yeah, be Sharknado bros.
That sounds disgusting.
Yeah, Sharknado bros.
Yeah, there's a movie happening.
Yeah. It's two sharks that are roommates.
Oh my god, they're roommates.
But yeah, Taika is like dead now. I guess they couldn't have him on set the whole time. Kind of like
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal. But
Yeah, too busy directing.
yeah. And then there's like some other survivor of one of these other incidents. So she's played by Zendaya here, and running a marathon, and then something happens that like gets to her. Like, do you remember what the thing that happens to Zendaya's character is?
She gets mauled by a bear.
Yeah, she's like running a marathon and then tries taking a shortcut and then gets mauled by a bear.
But it's like in a city, so it felt really weird.
Yeah. Like it felt really out of place because like this city doesn't feel like it's next to a forest, and then all of a sudden it is. It kind of felt like this was like in some parody type movie.
It's a bit like Narnia. Just opens a wardrobe and enters a bear.
Yeah, you meet James McAvoy as a fawn. Yeah.
And then that woman as a witch. The Snow Queen, Ice Queen, White Queen.
Tilda Swinton.
That's the one.
Yeah. So the first responders are like really paranoid about all these deaths that are happening. So they try to take a trip to relax. Well, not really a trip, more like a relaxation session. So they take a pottery class, and Bruce Campbell like is trying to mold something out of clay, but then his hands somehow turn it into a really sharp needle sword looking thing, and it just impales him in the head and kills him. So were you at all surprised by that?
I was very surprised. I don't know how he fell on it. That makes no sense. But then the laugh track kind of like made it like, oh, okay, it's funny.
Yeah, it was weird that they threw a laugh track in that moment. And then there's like the kiln, the thing that fires up the clay. Like that started to overheat and it caused an explosion in the room. So it also killed Vin Diesel's character in that moment, which I guess they're going for irony because like he's like a firefighter and whatnot.
Yeah, it was a real trial by fire that day.
Yeah.
He was busy like holding Bella Ramsey's hands whilst doing the pottery. Don't know how they knew each other.
Yeah, this was before the surviving first responders after this hear about Bella Ramsey's death. And so like the surviving ones at this moment are played by Florence Pugh and Haley Steinfeld. You know, they're two. Florence is a police officer. Haley is either an EMT or a paramedic. I can't remember, but really trying to avoid being killed. So what'd you think of like the other deaths that happen in this movie before we get to the end?
Well, Jeff Goldblum was serving glasses to people, and like one of them fell off the edge of the counter, but like it landed on someone's foot, and then they got really scared, so they kicked the glass. The glass shot up into the air. The bar, the fan, the ceiling fan. So the ceiling fan hit the glass. The glass flew through the air, and then it bonked him on the head, and then he just had like shards of glass sticking out of his face.
Yeah,
It was
they were.
interesting.
Yeah, they did the thing where it's like a domino effect. Which is weird because like after that happened, like a Domino's pizza guy came into the bar and was like, "Whoa, what happened here?"
I guess the fan.
Yeah. And we also get a cameo from Pierce Brosnan in this bar, and he's talking about like being James Bond now and doing like Tomorrow Never Dies or whatever the hell it's called.
But like no one knows who he is because it's America.
Right,
It's
yeah.
like I played James Bond. It's like who? Bond, James Bond.
Yeah.
No, I don't know you.
Yeah, what'd you think of the CGI they used for him here for his face?
Oh my
Make him
god,
look
he
younger.
looks so shiny. I don't know why he just shone bright like a diamond.
Yeah, like that one song.
Yes, by Rihanna. Oh my god, I watched a movie with Rihanna in it the other day. I watched Battleship.
Oh my gosh, that movie
She
sucked.
was. I watched it for the first time. Yeah, she was interesting. She definitely brought that film down a bit.
Well, lots of things brought that film down, let's be real. Like a lot
It was
sank.
not a Battleship movie.
Yeah, it wasn't a battleship movie, but it was a ship that sank. Yeah, my nickname for that movie is Chicken Burrito because of how many times they say it in the movie.
Chicken.
But
I don't think I ever heard them say that.
well, it's like in the beginning when that one guy is trying to impress the woman, and so he gets her a chicken burrito.
Oh
'cause, like,
yeah, he
she's
tries to
pretty.
steal the burrito and it like destroys the whole place.
And then later on, it turns out that her dad also loves chicken burritos.
Oh yeah, but her dad is out to be Liam Neeson.
Yeah, Liam Neeson just can't say no. But what I was gonna say is that I recently rewatched all of Bates Motel, and
Yes.
Rihanna played Marion Crane
Oh yeah.
in that show in the final season.
That's much later on though, wasn't it? Or not?
Yeah, it was in season 5. I thought she did a decent job there.
She also had some acting classes since then, since Battleship.
Yeah, like she watched Battleship. It was like, what am I doing with my life? And then she decided to like do better.
I mean, was it that much long after?
Well, Battleship came out like 2015 or something. Oh wait, 2012. Wow, much longer time ago than I thought. Jeez.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, so like 5 years before that season of Bates Motel.
then you realize like 2012 came out in 2009.
Yeah,
Same
that
year
was
Avatar came out.
yeah, 2012 was a movie that was big when it came out because of people being afraid of a 2012 thing, but now it feels like it's largely forgotten.
It was a decent movie though, like for visual effects. Like to come up against Avatar, I think it did like pretty well.
I remember John Cusack was in it.
Yes.
He was like a divorcee or whatever, but yeah, that's pretty much all I remember. And like there's like an earthquake or something and a helicopter, but that could be like any disaster movie. But speaking of people dying, so Florence Pugh and Haley Steinfeld try to lie low. They go to this concert after like seeing a patient die from like pneumonia and getting more paranoid. And people dying from wounds and whatnot. They decide to lie low and go to a concert. But then they see like someone choking on a hot dog at the concession stand, and now they're getting like more paranoid because like there's a band playing on stage and there's all this technical stuff going on. What'd you think of how this whole scene went down?
Where you could kind of see like sparks coming out from like the speakers, and like people jumping, and there was definitely some mosh pits going on. And like you were like, oh no, how are they going to die? This is the moment.
Yeah, like there's someone who does a stage dive and they accidentally like land headfirst onto the floor and crack their skull.
Laugh track ensues.
Yeah. And like the band, it just continues playing their music while like there's like someone trying to rush onto the stage, and the security guard is trying to stop them and climbs on all these things, and then the security guard dies like crashing into the screen. It feels like that part in a Goofy movie, but with like actual death. It was really weird.
I have not seen the Goofy movie.
Oh, you're missing out.
I'm sure I am.
What'd you think of like all the other stuff that happens at this concert as a huge set piece toward the end?
I was surprised that so many people that aren't the main characters died, because usually it's just the main characters. Like if you remember in I can't remember which one, the one where they're in the cafe and the car goes into the, was it a car or a bus goes into the cafe, but somehow no one dies. So it's just like weird having so many people who aren't the main characters just die really weirdly. It's like, how many people are dodging death today? Death is just having such a fun day.
Yeah, it kind of feels like when writing this, they wanted to up the ante in terms of the death count, as if they're like, yeah, this is what the fans want. They want to see more deaths. But like, it kind of flies in the face of the rules that we're so used to with these movies, doesn't it?
Yeah, because it's supposed to be like, even with I think it was the fifth one, like where the glass panel, it's like, yeah, one person got injured because they're the main character, one of the main characters. It's not like 5 or 6 other people were caught under it as well. It's like really, yeah, they're really trying to go for it.
Yeah. There's even a moment where like one of the, on the stage, the musicians, like one of the keyboardists, like his keyboard goes haywire and just electrocutes him to death. This guitarist like tries smashing her guitar and then ends up like killing the bassist by accident, like smashing them with the guitar.
Well, no one really cares about the bassist.
Ooh. Yeah, I need to introduce you to like really good bassists. Because there are like some really good ones.
Gotta slap that bass.
Yeah. But what'd you think of the way that this movie dovetails into the fifth movie?
It was a school trip onto the bus, and then they went into the bridge. No, Haley's the only one that's alive now.
Yeah, Haley and because it was Haley and Florence, but now, like,
Yeah, Florence died
after the concert, it's like just one of them now.
Yeah. So the way it links into the fifth film was that Haley Seinfeld's character thought that she defeated, or not defeated death, because no, they didn't know that death was a thing in this movie. But she thought that, oh, it's been like months since all these deaths were happening. That she thought, oh, it's done now.
Yeah, it's like 1999 now.
Then she gets on the bus and like, oh my god, here we go.
Yeah.
But I mean, because obviously the fifth film isn't that old, so it was really weird how they added her into the movie, because she wasn't in the scene.
Right,
So
yeah.
you can clearly tell that they like digitally put it in there.
Yeah, and it's like, because like she's in her character's like in her 20s or whatever, but I guess like she gets on the wrong bus or something, and that's why she's like part of this thing that happens at the beginning of the 5th movie. And yeah, it's like they include archive footage from the 5th movie and digitally insert her as if she was always there, and it's like, wait, what? That's kind of jarring.
You can clearly tell that she doesn't fit in with the rest of the scene.
Yeah, like it totally looks like she's against a green screen.
Like a hand is clipping through people's faces.
Yeah. But yeah, and then there's like a montage of like all the deaths throughout the movies as the end credits roll.
Yeah, every single movie.
Yeah. And what's a song that plays during these credits?
Stacy's mom.
Yeah, it was such a weird song choice.
I mean, hey, I enjoyed it, so I didn't really care too much that that was the song they chose.
Yeah, because I'm sure, when did that song come out?
I think
It's
it was 2003 or something.
yeah, that was like a weird song choice. Like it wasn't even from 1998. So like, so you couldn't even use that as an excuse for using it.
I think they just wanted to bring in the kids who've seen the rest of the movies.
Oh yeah, that whole generation.
Yeah.
Remember the early 2000s?
Yeah, it's Stacy's mom.
I guess we could go into final thoughts and score out of 10. So, what are your final thoughts, a score out of 10, and do you have measurement for that score for Final Destination 1998?
Yeah, my final thoughts on this final film of the Final Destination. It was too over the top, I think. They were trying to do too many things at once, having the responder side and the premonition family side of the story. It definitely should have stuck to one or the other. Like having just the responders side of the story. No one's premonitioning, maybe. Like, yes, it's a Final Destination movie, but they don't have to have a premonition per se, because it is the first one, technically, because it's set before the 5th film, so no one's really having premonitions yet. Maybe Death hasn't decided to give people premonitions. But yeah, there's so many like huge actors in this movie that you wonder why they went with these actors in the first place. Like even Jeff Goldblum, why would he be in this movie? Or Marlon Brando, why did you bring Marlon Brando back? He didn't need to be in this movie.
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan as well.
It's like, how much do you have to spend on getting these huge actors in when you could have chosen nobodies? 4 out of 10 outrageous advertising placements.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'm giving it a 4 out of 10 as well. Like 4 out of 10 sharks. Like I feel like this is the worst Final Destination film, which is quite a feat when you remember that the 4th movie exists. So yeah, I definitely agree that they should have focused on one or the other when it comes to the plot lines instead of trying to juggle both and show like too many different sides of the whole thing. Like the first responders idea is such an interesting idea that I kind of wish that they had solely focused on that and also dialed it back on like how many people are dying, because like if there are so many deaths, it's like there's not as much reason to care basically. So yeah, I think 4 out of 10 is a good score for this one.
Glad we agree.
But yeah, I guess that'll do it. Thanks for being on this episode, Greg. And I'll go ahead and put the Sci-Fi and Horror Society Discord link in the show notes.
And my letterbox, because why not?
Sure. Yeah.
Follow me for terrible reviews.
Yeah. Man, sometimes some reviews on Letterboxd, well, like not just from you, but from people in general, are like head scratchers, but others are like just so funny.
I know there are
But
some that are just absolutely hilarious. You're like, I wish I could come up with that.
yeah. All right, but yeah, and I'll include my other links in post-production when I edit this. And 2 weeks after this episode comes out will be the third anniversary episode of Delayed Replay. And it'll also talk about The Collected, or also known as The Collect 3D, because I put a 3 instead of the E before the D at the end, and it's in 3D. So our universe, we got a third movie in that series where it's like The Collector, The Collection, and The Collected. Right. So people can send in their comments and messages if they want to like do any third anniversary wishes or whatever.
Tell us how bad this episode was.
But yeah, that'll come out on May 13th. And without further delay, have a good day. All right, so here's a half-assed reminder to check out all the plugs for my stuff in the show notes of this episode. But to make up for that, here is I guess you could say, post-credits scene of me and Greg just goofing off and pretending and whatnot. Okay, now it is recording. Do you hear like the garbage truck in the background or nah?
No.
Okay. I guess we should be fine.
Yeah, I can't hear anything.
Imagine if we like made stuff up for the podcast instead of actually recapping it.
Oh my god, imagine.
Like we'd come up like well, it would be like if we were trying to think of stuff to like make up the movie. Should we call this Final Destination 6 or should we give it like some other silly title?
4.5. Because that's technically what it is. Because 5 comes before 1. It's very
Okay.
confusing.
So like when would we want to set this?
Yeah, it has to be after 4, doesn't it?
Yeah, we
Or
could.
would it be before 5? And call it 6, but say it sets before 1. Oh god.
Yeah, I don't know, but we should decide when we want to set this and what to call it.
We'll do it when Marlon Brando's alive. So it's like him as an actor.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I guess we could set it before 5 even.
Yeah.
All right. So do we still call it Final Destination 6 or something else?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, call it wherever the year it's in.
Okay.
So like those Fear Street movies.
So then when did 5? Because I know 1 came out 2000, but does 5 also take place in 2000? It's kind of hard to tell.
They both take place in 1999.
Okay, yeah, I just Googled it. Okay.
Yeah, we both did the same thing.
Yeah. So Final Destination 1998. Should we do
Oh
that?
my god. Yeah, I mean, we can do that.
Okay. All right.
What's
So
Marlon Brando doing in 1998?
yeah, I'm looking up his filmography.
He's doing.
God, this Wikipedia article is long.
I
Should've-
spoiled the score.
Yeah, I should have just done Control F.
Free money.
Yeah, Free Money came out 98. Never heard of
No,
this.
yeah, me neither. The Brave.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
Uh,
that one either.
Oh, I've seen The Island of Dr. Moreau.
I
That one-
haven't.
that
Val
one was-
Kilmer's in that.
Yeah, that one was weird. All right. Well, I think I'm ready now.
So what are we calling it?
Final Destination 1998.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
All right.
ready to go.
Okay.
Oh, you've been
so-
recording the whole time?
Wait, what?
You've been recording the whole time?
Just the last 3 minutes.
Okay. I was about to say that it's all going to be in the episode. The behind the scenes at the end is like a post-credit scene.